They've been fighting HIV for almost 30 years, as well as TB and Hep C. They are TAG, but who are they really? Joining me today is Rico Boone. He's the HIV Project Director of TAG, as well as Dafina Ward, the Executive Director of the Southern AIDS Coalition, and soon to be a Research in Action Award honoree. We will get to that in a minute. Thank you both for joining me.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Thank you. Hey, Rico, TAG, Treatment Action Group, as I said there, working to fight and end HIV as TB and Hep C, but give me a little bit more of a rundown. What is TAG?
Yeah, sure thing. So, Treatment Action Group has been around for over 30 years, born out of the ACT UP movement in the 80s, where, folks were really fighting for treatments, access to treatments, and prevention of HIV and AIDS. And so I'm the HIV Project Director at TAG. We are a think tank and advocacy think tank that fights to end HIV in the US and globally, focusing on advancing and accelerating access to tools for prevention treatment of hepatitis C, HIV, and tuberculosis.
Yeah, that's what's great about TAG. It's HIV activists and scientists all working together. Tell me a little bit about TAG's partnerships, Rico, and why those relationships are vital to the work that Treatment Action Group does.
Absolutely, yes. So, partnerships have been really central to our work and continue to be. We have partnered with organizations like Southern AIDS Coalition, which you'll hear from, with Dafina Awards. We also receive funding from the HIV Vaccine Trials Network to sort of educate communities about the importance of a vaccine, ongoing sort of search and quest for development of a vaccine to end the HIV epidemic. A lot of times we hear that we have all the tools to end HIV, and that is sort of true, but not entirely, because we still don't have a universal cure or a vaccine to end HIV. And so a lot of our partners are focused on that effort. In addition to increasing access to PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis for HIV. So, we partner with several organizations and community leaders on what's called a PrEP in Black America coalition, where it's just a kind of coalition of, Black advocates and researchers like myself and Dafina and other folks to fight for equitable access to PrEP.
It really does take a village, and collaboration is key. Dafina, I was listening to one of your interviews the other day, and you referred to yourself as having worked in the vineyard of HIV for about 17 years. Tell me about the Southern AIDS Coalition's relationship with TAG and the impact that TAG's work has had directly on your community. That tangible, that you can see that because of Treatment Action Group, this is making a difference.
Yeah, thank you so much. So Southern AIDS Coalition has been in the vineyard for over 20 years doing this work around HIV advocacy, and started as, very much like the other roots of HIV activism, started out of necessity to demand change and transformation and justice for those living with and impacted by HIV. And so those who were doing the work in the South, some state HIV/AIDS directors, community-based organization leaders, and grassroots activists got together and said, we've got to get equitable resources to the South. And that's how we started. And I think we continue that legacy today through partnerships like the one we have with Treatment Action Group. So much of the work in HIV is about folks understanding the power of their action. So this question is so great, because when I think about the work of TAG and our partnership and collaboration, I think that TAG has done a great job of being a consistent partner, voice, and catalyst to help communities see the power of their action to end the HIV epidemic. And also an opportunity for community to see the power of research, the necessity of their involvement in it, the fact that research should come back to community so it can be used for our advocacy. So all of that, I think, are tangible ways that we see TAG's work manifest in action in the movement of HIV, and particularly in the South, where we have a partnership with them and so many others through our work with HIV Vaccine Trials Network, ANIA, and all these great things that TAG's doing in community.
Yeah, again, I say it again, collaboration is key. And I think one of the great things about TAG is that community really does have a seat at the table and does have a voice at the table. And we know more and more how important that is. Rico, how is TAG funded?
So TAG is currently funded through multiple channels. So as I mentioned, we have funding from the External Relations Program of the HIV Vaccines Trial Network. That's a long-standing partnership that we've had with HVTN over the past several years, long before I've joined TAG 3 years ago. We also received some funding from pharmaceutical companies for our patient advocacy and community engagement programming. And we also received some individual donor funding and some private funding as well, private foundation funding.
So what's at stake when it comes to the continued funding of TAG?
Oh wow, a lot is at stake. I mean, I think that we are definitely sort of facing not only sort of threats to funding cuts, on a more proximal basis, but also at the federal level and the global level as well. We know, over the past couple of years, we've been in a position where we've had to sort of fight for HIV funding, which we haven't really had to do in a very long time. And so, a lot is at stake in terms of the advocacy that TAG is able to do to end the HIV epidemic.
Yeah, Tafina, do you want to add to that when we talk about, we hear this a lot in the news that, HIV is sort of has taken a back seat especially when it comes to funding on a federal level. With the great advances we have, the double-edged side of that is that people seem to think, well, it's not as important, all right?
Well, I think that right now it's really timely to be talking about HIV in the broader landscape of health equity in this country, because what we do know is while we have many advances, Rico's mentioned pre-exposure prophylaxis, we're talking about advances in treatment and care, but they're not reaching everyone and everyone doesn't have access. So I think right now, as we're talking about attacks on public health and attacks on all the things that give folks autonomy to live and to thrive, that right now is a really critical time to make sure that we're talking about HIV again. Because, yeah, folks think that was a thing. That's no longer a thing, but it is very much a reality in so many people's lives. And we know that if everyone had access to all of the research, to all of the modalities that have evolved as a result of years of research and investment, that we would see an end to the epidemic. And we would also see that every person with an HIV diagnosis would have access to the things that would allow them to thrive and live healthy lives. And so there is a lot of work to do, and right now is the right time.
Yeah, and one of the win-win knock-on effects of that is that if all of those living with HIV are healthy and undetectable, we're costing the system less.
Yes.
I know that one way TAG raises much-needed funds and awareness is through the Research in Action Awards, which I mentioned at the top. Tell me more about this event.
Sure. So Research in Action Awards is TAG's annual fundraiser, sort of semi-gala that we host every year to raise funds for the whole organization, including the HIV program, our Acting on AIDS Coalition, our Hepatitis C program, and our tuberculosis program. And so what we do every year is we honor, activists, folks who've been working in the various fields, researchers, all sorts of folks who have contributed towards ending the epidemics of HIV, tuberculosis, and hepatitis C.
And Tafina, as I mentioned at the top, you are being recognized this year with a special award. What does the recognition of an award from an organization like TAG mean to you?
It means a lot. I'm still just in awe that I'm being honored in this way and really appreciate the recognition by TAG. I think it means so much to be recognized by your peers, to be recognized by an organization that you greatly respect, as I do. And the fact that we do work in partnership together means so much. And I take this as a recognition of the work of Southern AIDS Coalition. I like to think it's equal parts Dafina as well as SAC being recognized at the awards. And I'm just really honored to receive it. And anytime there's an opportunity for me to have conversations about the needs of those in the South living with and impacted by HIV, for the South to be centered in dialogue and recognition, it means so much. Our work is Southern focused, but the HIV epidemic in the South has national impact. And so it's critically important, I think, for partners like TAG, and says so much about their commitment to the necessity of addressing what's happening in the South, that I'm being recognized as part of the Research and Action Awards. So very appreciative, very excited.
Why must we continue to support TAG, not just financially, but by all of us in the HIV community?
Mm-hmm. I think it's really critical that we lean into collaboration, that we lean into the coalition models, that both of our organizations really center and lift up, so that we can truly make sure we're expanding this tent. We have got to get more folks in this fight, more folks committed to this cause, and continue to raise awareness. So I think the work of an organization like TAG is critically important because of that. And also because TAG really does model a syndemic approach to this work. The fact that we're not just talking about HIV, we're talking about hepatitis, we're talking about tuberculosis, and the fact that we have to do a better job of de-siloing conditions and really addressing the comprehensive wellness of our communities. So I think that's why it's important to continue to support an organization like TAG that so obviously supports so many of us in the communities that we serve.
Yeah, they've done an enormous amount over their 30 years. Rico, if people want to participate in the Research in Action Awards or any of TAG's programs, how can they find out more and get in touch?
Great question. You can find out more about Research in Action and about TAG on our website. So it's www.treatmentactiongroup.org, or on our social media at Treatment Action Group on Instagram primarily. You can also find us on Twitter as well at Tag Team Tweets. You can find out more information about how to purchase a ticket online. Reach out to any one of us who work at TAG, and we can point you in the right direction.
Dafina Ward, Rico Boone, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
That is going to do it for this episode of Plus Talk. If you want more information, we'll put the website back up on the screen. And if you happen to be in the New York area on October 17th, you can come along to the Research in Action Awards. Again, click on the link or go to the link that you can see displayed on the screen now. All the information is there. Until next time, be kind to one another. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.